Hello and welcome to Call of Duty eSports Center. I'm your host Rovo and this is your first week in review for 2017. This past weekend we had Group A with the first of what's sure to be an exciting season of Call of Duty. For those of you who don't know the format of this new Global Pro League, there are 4 groups of 4 teams each and they'll be flown out one group at a time to Columbus, Ohio, where they'll be competing against the other teams in their group. Each team will play the other 3 teams in their group twice, and at the end of the double round robin series, the 2 highest placing teams will advance to the playoffs, with the 3rd team qualifying for stage 2. The bottom team will then be facing relegation, which will take place at MLG Anaheim in June. This past week we had Group A with Envy, Cloud9, Splice and Mindfreak. So let's pull up the standings and see where everyone is at the end of the first weekend. As you can see, Envious takes that first spot and they will be getting the first place seed for this group heading into the playoffs, ending at 5-1. They lost the first match of the weekend to Splice and they did seem to have a pretty slow start with some sloppy games against Mindfreak on Friday. Saturday and Sunday was a different story, however. They came back winning 2 games on Saturday and ended on Sunday with a 3-0 victory against Splice. And then we do have Splice taking that second place. A very solid start from them this weekend. Looked to be the best in the group and they looked to take first place, but they did end up losing in that 3rd day against Envious, and that 0-3 defeat really put them behind on the map count, and that's the reason that they were placed 2nd due to their lower map win percentage. Taking 3rd place and securing the last spot for stage 2 is Mindfreak. Mindfreak with the 3-0 win on Cloud9 in day 1, really coming out from the beginning and showing the world that the APAC region is not one that needs to be underestimated. Some very solid Call of Duty coming from them this weekend, winning a lot of their search and destroys, but it was the respawn maps that let them down ultimately, and they will be taking that 3rd place. And then finally, to close out the standings, we have Cloud9 sitting at the bottom. Not a very good week for them at all. Losing their first 4 matches of the weekend with straight sweeps, they had 0 map wins and 12 map losses heading into day 3. They did come back on Sunday and finally win a match, but it was certainly a grindy one and it took them all the way to game 5 to win it. And Cloud9 will end the week with 5 map wins and 17 losses. This does mean that they're up for relegation and they will be playing their relegation matches in Anaheim in June. Looking forward to next week now, we do have Group B, or Group Blue as they've called it, with FaZe Clan, Rise Nation, Fnatic and Evil Geniuses. Obviously FaZe Clan and Rise Nation were some of the best teams in the Black Ops 3 World League last year. And honestly, they're just the 2 strongest teams in this group, so I do expect them to take those first 2 spots and to see them in the playoffs in a few weeks. But Evil Geniuses and Fnatic, there are some very good games to be had with them this weekend. They will be battling for that 3rd place to secure their spot in Stage 2 and to avoid relegation. So there is a lot to be fighting for both of these teams, and it'll be very interesting to see how they play up against each other this weekend, especially in this different sort of setting. They know they're playing each other twice. It's going to be interesting to see how their tactics change heading into the 2nd match against the same team so close to the previous one. And for our team to look out for this week, it's going to be Team Envious. Obviously not the best start to the weekend for them. They went 1-3 against Splice early on, and in day 1 you could really see John struggling pretty hard to get on the scoreboard. There was one map he only dropped about 10 kills, and you could see he was really struggling and pulling that team down. But then obviously so much experience for this team as well. John being MVP and JCap being the winningest player in Call of Duty history, they really showed how much experience they had being in these tough situations. And on days 2 and 3, they really came out and they started to win and win consistently. The day 3 turnaround and the 3-0 rematch against Splice really showed everyone else that even though they might not have the best start, they really are one of the best teams in this game. And they are a team that you really want to be avoiding in the playoffs. But there you have it. That is your first week in review for 2017. Week 1 of the Global Pro League is officially finished, and I'm really excited for week 2. Make sure you subscribe and tune in next week where we'll be reviewing the 2nd week of the Global Pro League. But I've been your host Rovo. Thank you for tuning in to Call of Duty eSports Center, and we'll see you next week.